The horns are sounding, and they're playing the song of my people. A new Koran horn coming up. The horns are playing, and they're playing the song of my people. The Koran horn. What's going on, everybody? Tim from Tierfon Orbital. I have a new updated version of my Rev3 that I would like to talk about. This is going to serve as both a walkthrough video of the hilt itself and the chassis, but also a small demo video for the client. So I would like to talk about some of the differences between the original and this one, and go over the chassis as I usually do, and we'll go from top to bottom, and then we'll throw a blade in it, and we'll be on our way, right? So, Koran horn. I haven't done a new, like, original Koran run in a while. Been pretty busy with regular installs. However, a client did reach out to me and really liked the Rev3, but he wanted some changes, and I'm always welcome to changes. I mean, my job is to make you happy with your hilt, really. I mean, I'm never. It never bothers me if somebody has any special requests. I mean, within reason, right? So I'm all for it, right? So he wanted a different claw section on this particular Rev, and we also did some small changes to the pommel, and I also updated. Like I took this as a chance to update my chassis design for this particular hilt. I do use Mhs V2 size grips on this particular version, and they're very small, smaller inner diameter rather. So I wanted to update the chassis design just to make it a little bulkier, and you know, it just gave me a chance to be a little more creative, right? So let's talk about the hilt. Here it is. So it's very similar to the Rev3. I mean, it is the Rev3. There are just two major changes, right? So I'll start at the pommel. Here's the pommel section. I do have a custom pommel cap, pommel insert. I did stamp Rev3 with a serial number around the outside of this, around the outside of the pommel. The clamp here, it's the same. It's from the same. So I got this from a 1980s era ski boot. I sourced these, and there are 3 different sizes on the boots themselves. So there's a large, a medium, and a small. Client wanted a smaller clamp, so I mounted the smaller version to this pommel. Okay, making our way up, we have an Mhs V2 Grip that I had the guys over at Custom Saber Shop custom route for me. So I designed this grip originally with my Rev1 with the windows here, but this is just a Mhs V2 version of that. So we've got windows all the way around, so you can see the crystal. Both this and this pommel extension piece have been painted and powder coated, rather matte black, from Custom Saber Shop. Making our way up. So this is the claw section. Actually, let me stand by here. So this is the typical claw mount that you see on a lot of Koran horn builds. I don't know who started this. I want to say Rob Platkow at Genesis Custom Sabers started with these. I'm probably wrong. Let me know in the comments if I am. But you see these in almost every Koran build, simply because they look fantastic, right? I mean, this is the claw mount from Custom Saber Shop, and it's got holes around the circumference to mount claws for an emitter, but you can repurpose it to make it look really great grip section on a Koran horn build. Now, on my original, I did this claw in ABS high strength resin, and I modeled it after production stills of speeder bike grips, right? But the client wanted, you know, the Custom Saber Shop claws in metal, powder coated for this particular build. So what I ended up doing was I got a hold of Tim and everybody at Custom Saber Shop, and I said, look, essentially what I need is a claw that's double width, so like 2 of these together, but I also wanted windows routed out in the claw itself for the NeoPixel strip, as well as pre-drilled holes for the 2 switches. So the guys at Custom Saber Shop, always super helpful. They were able to do that for me, and that's what we did with the claw, right? So on the claw, I've just got some brass accents that I weathered. There is an aux switch here. This is one of those generic 8mm switches with a green cap. And this switch is the same toggle, like momentary latching toggle switch that I do on my other Korans, but the client did request that it look a little bit closer to like the Lost Wolf, Ezra Bridger's toggle switch on his lightsabers. So I was cool with that actually. So I designed a new one in Fusion, added some metal and some screws on the top of it, and it toggles back and forth. This is the main, and this is the aux. And we have a 7 2020 neopixel strip underneath this resin lens, and I have caution in Arabesh in this lens and printed that. Coming up to the top, we have a custom heatsink that I designed, and just some copper rods as greeblies. And finally, we have a steel baffling that I heat stained and put to the top of the emitter. And that's it. So we can talk about, actually, while we're here, let's talk about the chassis. So the chassis, this is the new version of this chassis for my Rev3s, right? So we've got plenty of room for removable 18650 battery. This section, so we do have a 28mm speaker, but it is in a Speakerpod in the Pommel section. So what I did was, it's not in this file. So I created an end cap where the kill switch and the pogo pins for the Speakerpod sit. So I was able to wire those up, and then I put that cap on to seal the rest of the chassis, right? So we've got a Proffie sits here. We have a crystal here. I put an Amethyst Crystal in this build, and a top and bottom Neo, and my wires come out top. And it's a stationary chassis, and that's it. I just wanted to, update the chassis that I originally had. I think with my original chassis, it had some posts in the front, and I just felt like they were a little like flimsy, and they kind of got in the way of the crystal. This way, I was able to hide my wire management a little bit better and get a little bit of a more bulky frame behind that crystal. So let's talk about how to use it, right? So here it is. Let's go up top. So here is the hilt. Duh. The entire grip unscrews, and we'll talk about the Speakerpod in a minute. This is a very tight build. It's an Mhs V2. I always say it's a lot tighter to work with. So here's the chassis, right? I do want to give a disclaimer about this chassis. Because this is a thinner build, we've got, I think this is like 25mm here. It's skinnier. I just ask that people be delicate with chassis when the grip is off. If the difference between resin and like something like FDM, resin is a lot more brittle. You can get more detail work in the greeblies. However, if you drop this hilt without the grip, there's a very good chance that this chassis is going to snap. It's just very delicate. So just be aware of that, right? When putting your battery in, I also recommend kind of cradling the chassis and putting the battery in while you're holding it with one hand, okay? So we've got our negative side is the spring. You want to put your flat side of the battery in like that. So this was already on, so let's turn it off. When you put your battery in, you turn it on. If you see these Neos light, you know you're good, right? So you know the power is on. We have, well, here's that Amethyst Crystal. I just did want to get a look at that. Let's turn it on, actually. So there's that Amethyst. Top and bottom Neos, and each blade config has its own. So there's a config. Let me start over. So there are 3 blade configs on this. Blade 1 is your main, blade 2 is the NeoPixel strip, and blade 3 is this top and bottom Neo. So there's 3 different configs for each font, right? So let's turn it off. I do want to put the grip on. It is a tight build, just be aware. You want to put the grip on, screw it all the way until it stops. So the reason I like putting kill switches down here, specifically when there is a Speakerpod involved, is this way, rather than take the entire grip off to turn the hilt on, you can just unscrew the Speakerpod, unscrew the pommel, and you can turn the hilt on just from down here, okay? 28mm speaker lives inside of this pommel. This is from the Saber Merchant. I did utilize one of these screws that's holding in this brass greebly. This does secure the speaker pod, so just be aware of that. You turn it on, you screw your speaker pod in, and you are ready to go. So let's come down back. There's a speaker, no, that's not what that is. There is a blade plug in this currently, as of recording this video. This is my blade plug. I'm printing one right now. You can probably hear my printer's whining away up here. But I'm printing up a new custom blade plug that will ship when I put this in the mail and get it to you, the client. So let's turn it on, right? There's that crystal viewable through the grip all the way around. Here's that cool NeoPixel strip. Probably too close to that speaker, or that microphone. Twist to activate is on, all that fun stuff. Let's put a blade in it, right? So, to pop your blade in, you want to take your blade plug out, rest your blade on those PCBs, those PCB pins. There is a set screw right above the main switch here. Just tighten that set screw so it hugs the blade, and you're ready to go. So X. Man. So there's a bunch of different fonts on here. That was Son of Corellia, of course. I have to have that on my Koran builds, right? That's from Kyberphonic.
Durin Fire.
Here's Durin Fire. Got a yellow blade. What else you got? I love the action on that switch. .28mm sounds good.
The NASA team is ready for launch.
This is, again, like I always put, that's a font called Orbital. It's from Harry Solo. Love that font. What else we got? I'm probably blowing out the microphone right now. I'm holding it like directly. My mic is right here. I'm like holding it into the microphone. So that's it, folks. I did want to take a moment to thank the client, Andrew. I really appreciate your ideas. I'm so happy with the way that this one came out that I think I'm probably going to discontinue the original Rev3 and just offer this version on my Etsy now. So yeah, I really like the way the metal claw came out. I think having that smaller clamp makes it look a lot better, and that switch is awesome. So yeah, thank you very much for your ideas, your patience, and this has got a long journey going across the pond, so I will get this in the mail tomorrow or Friday at the very latest. I want to make sure that this blade plug is ready to go, and I'll get it in the mail. To everyone else, I always say it, if anyone has any questions or critiques or comments, please don't be a stranger. And I really appreciate your support, and thanks for watching. And with that being said, may the force be with you always.